What if you could stop spending endless time and money on marketing and avoid hiring and managing a large team and still enjoy a six-figure pet business? That's what I'm going to talk about today, and I'm going to show you a couple of the behind the scenes secrets that I have developed that has helped me create that in my own business. Hello, my name is April, and honestly, it took me a few years to figure out how to create a balance and break that feast or famine cycle in my home dog boarding and daycare business. Not too long after I started my dog business in 2019, I realized I essentially created a trap for myself. Here I had started my business partially for the freedom I thought it would bring me, and yet I was always finding myself sacrificing my time for money. So I started looking for solutions, and when I got digging, I realized most of the advice out there is to start offering in clients' home pet sitting and to build a large team. But when I thought about what my day would look like if I had done that, I realized I'd be behind a computer, stuck on a phone all day in my office, not outdoors where I originally wanted to be working with dogs, and I wouldn't be working with dogs. I'd be stuck hiring, firing, managing, scheduling, being customer service, and I wouldn't actually get to work with dogs. That to me sounded like a job that I had just quit not long before. And so this path was not the path for me. All I wanted was a manageable, sustainable pet business that I didn't have to work 80 hours a week or worry about paying my mortgage. And most importantly, I love working with dogs. So if I worked in the office all day, how would that fulfill my purpose? If you run a dog walking or home boarding and daycare business, or maybe you do pet sitting in clients' home, but you do drop-ins and dog walking also, then chances are you started your business for the same reasons. Because you love animals, because you wanted freedom, because you wanted some financial freedom as well. And that's exactly why I'm thinking about putting together a deep dive training on how I created my recurring revenue stream while eliminating 12 to 15 hours of work a week. And some weeks it eliminates even more, giving me both the freedom and income I dreamed of. Actually, let me go in a little deeper here and show you exactly what happened when I implemented my recurring revenue system. In 2022, as you can see here on the screen, I had estimated monthly income that was from boarding, daycare, and daycare pledges. What are daycare pledges? That is my monthly recurring revenue stream system. I was also on Rover still, and I did a little bit in Rover that year, but only $7,800. Then you take out expenses, yada, yada, and you have the monthly estimates, and it brought me to a total that year of only $90,000 in revenue. Now, I did not switch to this recurring revenue system until April, I think it was, of 2022. So this did not include the entire year. Now, what happened when we go to 2023 and it includes the entire year? Okay, we have all the same services. I did add in some boarding packages. I had that. I did a lot less in Rover. Well, I did about 3,000 less in Rovers, and I increased my daycare income to $72,000 almost, and this helped put me up to $148,000 and $520 revenue for the entire year. Okay, this was a massive change. Now let's go to 2024 2024, yeah, 2024 was the last year. And I did cut back on my boarding because I wanted to spend more time on creating this channel, creating this podcast so that I can help show you guys. It was such a hit, a home run. I wanted to show you guys how it can be a home run for you too. So I really started spending more time with that, and I wanted more time to myself. I got some dogs. I wanted to spend time with my dogs. So this is the beautiful thing about this is you can choose what you want to do. So here I was in 2024. Now I had absolutely no Rover income whatsoever. I significantly increased my Rover prices so that if someone booked on there, they were going to be paying for it. And then I went into this monthly estimate and bringing me to 14,000, 11,000, 13,000, 12,000, $13,000 months, okay? And I was still at 142,000 that year. And this year we are well on track for six figures. And this doesn't even count bookings I haven't had for the rest of the year. We're only halfway through the year, y'all, and I'm already estimated at $118,000 of an annual income this year. But imagine if you just did the recurring revenue system for your daycare or your dog walking only, and all it did was bring in $67,000 a year. Would you be happy with that? I mean, is it nice to have that as just knowing that's a steady income, a steadier income than the feast or famine cycle that we go through on a regular basis? I think so. As you can see here from my multiple years of income, I have earned well over six figures, and I have done this with very little marketing, $0 spent on marketing, and no website. And I've been doing it with my recurring revenue system. I was thinking this training could cover everything from how to set up your business to fit your lifestyle, to attracting clients who chase you instead of you chasing them, nailing your pricing so that it's a no-brainer for new customers to sign up, and most importantly, automating recurring revenue so that you can stop the feast or famine cycle, stop working 80 hours a week, and finally enjoy the freedom your business was meant to bring you. And if you're interested, I'll even throw in training on how to calm the canine chaos and all of the systems I've put in place that helps beat the burnout. For example, I'll show you how I save $900 to $1,200 a year using free or super duper easy and cheap marketing methods or bookkeeping processes and scheduling hacks. You'll also get my plug and play calculator that's 10 times more accurate than calculating averages. Trust me, I made that mistake for years where I calculated averages of my rates and how many customers or bookings I usually had every month, and still I kept coming up way too short and having to work way too long. So you can use this calculator, plug in your numbers, your expenses, your rates, you name it, your details, your taxes, your credit card fees. We have thought of everything when creating this calculator so that you can take paid vacations, optimize your rates, and lock in your ideal occupancy to finally crush the feast or famine cycle. In fact, let's dive in and do a little example on the calculator so you can see just how beneficial it will be. Okay, so here I'm going to show you the revenue calculator that is basically starting on the tab below called expenses, but it really includes your expenses and labor. So I do have some dog walkers. I don't hire a lot of people. I did not want a large team, but I just threw some numbers in here to, have some examples. So let's say my expenses every month is up to about $48,000 a year. here. My labor that is just entered in here. It doesn't give you the full total here because you don't want to see the total here. You're going to see it on another page. And then you have your credit card fees. So if you're paying a certain amount per transaction, you pop it in there. You have how many days a year you want to close. This is where you can put in 14 days. You want to take vacation. You want to close down for 2 whole weeks a year, 4 whole weeks a year. It doesn't matter. You put in what you want for your life, for your vision, your values right there. And then, of course, your estimated taxes. That's a little low, I would say. 20% or more is probably more accurate, but we're going to go with that for an example. And then you go over to your pricing tab. In your pricing tab, this is where you enter in all your services, your boarding, your daycare, your dog walking, whatever it might be, and your current rates, okay? So these are just rates I made up. Don't pay attention to any of that right now. And then these are additional offerings, the description of the service. So, late checkout fees, maybe you have monthly packages, maybe you have after hour, whatever it is. Maybe you have additional services like you sell dog treats or you do pet transportation. You might have holiday fees. All of that would go right here. Once you fill in these 2 tabs, expenses, labor, pricing, then you can come over to your current state. In your current state, you start to fill in how many customers you have based on the service that you provide. So you are going to need, I would say, at least 6 months, if not an entire year's worth history. Hopefully you have the bookkeeping on that. Most people do. And if not, you can kind of guesstimate it. The more accurate you can be, the more accurate this will be. And it's really fascinating because you can plug in all of the additional services on average. How many late checkout fees have you had? How many holiday fees have you charged? You can plug all of that in the yellow only. You can only modify the yellow boxes on this, okay? And then it also still has your days closed, your estimated taxes over here. That's actually different than the other page, so I need to change that. But just for example purposes, let's keep moving and pretend that's correct. Now let's go into your future state. Future state is what you want to change your pricing to. What are your goals for how many clients you're going to have, how many bookings you're going to have of each service, how many additional services you're going to sell, right? You're going to put all that in only over here on the pink side in the yellow boxes. That is what you're working toward. This is what you're trying to work out. If you're trying to figure out your prices, if you're trying to raise your prices, if you're trying to add new services, you name it. And then of course here, this is where you can also enter in the different hours and amount that you pay your staff and your ideal, right? So you just put in what you want. Also, if you want to give your staff, this is something phenomenal. How often do pet sitters who work for a pet sitting company get paid time off, right? So here is where you get to factor in your employees to have paid time off. Again, I don't advocate for having a large team, but if you already do and you're okay with that, or if you even just have a handful of them, most of my team members are here 2 hours a week. They come and walk 2 rounds of dogs and they're done. So it's not like I have a whole lot. And of course, I'm not going to offer them paid time off for being such part-time employees. But if you want to, you can factor in how many hours of paid time off you're going to offer your team so that it helps you figure out how much your prices need to be in order to have the occupancy and booking levels that you want. Now, once you've done all that, you're going to go over to the summary tab. There's nothing on here you can type in. It's all going to remain the same. It's going to tell you what your gross revenue is, what your total expenses were, what your credit card fees were. what your how much it cost you for the time that your business was closed, even though you're going to factor all that in. This is all factored in, right? PTO, labor costs, the whole 9 yards, and your net revenue. Now, what's super duper cool about this is you can go back to your future state, or you can really play around with this on your current state too. It doesn't matter. Actually, I do like to use the current state on this, honestly. So when I'm trying to figure out what my new rates are going to be when I'm raising prices, or what my ideal occupancy level is when I'm making life changes, and maybe you have a baby coming, maybe you're moving and you need less dogs for a while, or maybe you want to take on more bookings for a month or two because you have a large expense coming up and you want to earn some extra money. This is how versatile this calculator is. And because it is using what is called weighted averages, weighted averages is going to figure out, here's these weighted averages. It's going to take your current rates and it's going to take how many customers, how many bookings you have for those rates, and it's going to figure out what's called a weighted average. This is 10 times more accurate than using just your basic averages. Trust me, every time I did basic averages, I always came up short. 9 times out of 10, if there's any error, it's in my favor and I come out above. And so what you can do is go into here and plug in different numbers in all of these yellow boxes to figure out, maybe I want to spend less in labor. Maybe I want to spend more. Maybe I want to have additional services. Maybe I want more boarding. Maybe I want more daycare or dog walks. And you get to figure out, based on this occupancy, based on this number of bookings, how much am I going to earn at this price rate, the price that you put in over here on the pricing tab. Now, if you don't like that, you can go back over here and change the prices on the pricing tab, come back over to your current state tab, and bada bing, bada boom, it's going to show you how much you're going to bring in monthly and annually after you have paid all of your expenses, your days closed, your taxes, all of that rigmarole. So this tool is a godsend and has changed the entire business for me, as well as my life. This is what brought me the freedom and helped me beat the burnout. This is one of the major players in doing that. Imagine the peace of mind of knowing that you have a monthly minimum income just from your daycare or dog walking alone. Boarding or overnights are literally icing on the cake. So if you want a week off, you can take it off without the financial stress at the same time. This business model lets you live your life on your terms while running a financially, emotionally, physically, mentally sustainable pet business. So if you're ready to start or run your business instead of it running you, comment below on what you'd like to see in this training. What would be most beneficial for you right now? And before you go, grab your free ebook, The Top 5 Mistakes That Could Cost You Your Pet Business and How to Avoid Them. All you have to do is click the link in my bio or the description.